that John asked me to share a little bit on calling, and then a little bit of our story. And so Marla and I were here last fall, and what led us to being here was, as John said, some of the executive team of our leadership board at the church met with us and asked for my resignation effective immediately last September. A shock to us and a shock to all kinds of people in the church. But what came out of that is, as John said, there are a number of young couples. They're like in their 20s, and it was so sweet that they came to us and they said, you know what, we need to do something for you. And so what we've done is we went online and found a retreat center that specializes in pastors in transition. And we've already paid for you to be there, and here's money for your travel, for everything that and it was such a sweet gesture from some young families in our church. I grew up in Wheaton, Illinois, went to Wheaton College. Marla and I met at Wheaton. And then I got a master's degree in counseling, trying to avoid going into ministry. I thought I was going to go into counseling to distract God. I tell people that my years at the University of Nebraska were my Nineveh experience, trying my best to run away from ministry. I got into my practicum for counseling at a university in Chicago, and I realized these people didn't need me to be a therapist. They really needed me to bring them to Jesus. And so I said, okay, God, I give up. I'll go to seminary. So I went to Westminster Seminary. After seminary, we got to live in Central America. Marla grew up overseas. Her dad was in third world development. So we looked for international churches. So I pastored a church in Tegucigalpa, Honduras for 5 years, and then in the old Panama Canal area for 10 years. Came back to the States, and after our girls were born in Honduras, Daniel was born in Panama. Came back to the States, and I've been a pastor of leadership development in a church in Minnesota, pastor of spiritual formation in a church here in Michigan in Midland. And then just recently I've been, just finished obviously, in Ashland, Ohio, pastoring a Brethren church. And so I'd had this really good annual review, and then really all kinds of weirdness about it and sadness. I was invited to a prayer meeting that wasn't a prayer meeting. It was a meeting to ask for a resignation. By the grace of God, it was, because I can fail better than anybody, okay? By the grace of God, it didn't have anything to do with moral failure. It had to do with stuff going on in the church, and I'll share a little bit of that in a little bit here. But since last October 15th, they gave me 6 months of sabbatical, and we've been in a job search since last October, which is a really strange place to be. If some of you have been there at this point in your life, you know what that means. All right, let me talk a little bit about Holy Calling, then I'll just finish up and tell you actually what's going on in our life just recently.
Did you have something you want to pass out?
I'll give it to him later.
Okay.
Okay,
great.
Because if I give it to you all now, you'll all be reading it, and you won't be paying attention. Because that's what I do. And I never put out sermon handouts with fill in the blanks, because as soon as I get that, I'm trying to fill him in before he gets there to see if I can guess what he's going to do. And it's even easier. If I know the first two are alliterated, then I try to find out what the rest of the blanks so they start with the same letter. All right, Holy Calling.
Church of the Crossword Puzzle?
Mine might be an acrostic, so that'll really throw me off.